Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Bounce Back Better, Stronger, Smarter. And every Wednesday at 10 a.m. GMT plus 8, KL, Beijing, Singapore time, or Eastern time, 9 p.m. on Tuesday, we are here with Bounce Back. And now it's pre-event because starting November 10th, 11th, we go officially with the Bounce Back Summit. But before that, we're going to do these pre-sessions where we get some sense of some of the speakers and what's going to happen and what this whole summit is about so that you can sign up and you can get a great leadership development. Hi, I'm Roshan, Thiran, and I'm going to introduce my co-host with me, who's going to be facilitating the Bounce Back Summit with me, Scott Friedman. Scott, welcome to the show, and always glad to have you with your twisted humor somewhat here with us. Thanks for joining us. And, Bounce Back, talk us through Bounce Back a little bit, Scott. Just, briefly what Bounce Back is all about.
Bounce Back is a weekly series every Tuesday night in the U.S., Wednesday morning in Asia, where we hear from a different champion that has either bounced back or made a difference in some big way in the world, and we can learn something major from that superstar. So I think we have one of those superstars tonight with us, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we do have that. But Bounce Back is not just that, right? Bounce Back is not just 12 inspirational. It's also coaching, right? There's going to be weekly coaching by Justin Cohen, and Jean Marie. There's going to be access to Nicole, which is an AI platform that allows you to have continuous learning for 1 full year. There's going to be Ask Me Anything sessions, weekly sessions where you can sort of ask questions to top leaders on topics that help you become a better leader. So Bounce Back is all that. But I think one of the most exciting pieces of Bounce Back is the ability to engage with some of these people who have bounced back, right? And today we have an amazing guest who has bounced back. I mean, he's got an amazing bounce back story. Tell us a bit about John Register, Scott.
Well, John Register, currently living in the beautiful state of Colorado, in Colorado Springs, Colorado. If you've ever had a misstep in your life and you wanted a do-over, anybody feel that you could be more resilient during challenging times? Yeah, or would like to know how to be more resilient? You desire to make a greater impact in the world? Well, if you have answered yes to either of those questions, be glad you are here. And if you haven't wished that, you're probably in self-denial of some sort. John is the author of a book called 10 Power Stories to Impact Any Leader. Journal Your Way to Leadership Success. So maybe he'll talk a little about that tonight. He was at 2 Olympic trials. He was on his way to the Olympics, and then he had one of those mishaps, misfortune, but he came back, and since his injury, he won the long jump silver medal in the Paralympics in Sydney, Australia. He's advised 4 U.S. Secretaries of State. He founded the United States Olympic Committee's Paralympic Military Sports Program, which helped wounded, ill, and injured service members use sports as a tool for their rehabilitation, and has his leg, get this, he has his leg featured in the Olympic and Paralympic Museum. In fact, Mr. Register, I saw that on Facebook. My good friend Sarah Michelle was down in Colorado Springs at the museum, and they took a photo. I'm like, wow, that's that famous leg of his. So can we... You think we should?
Let's get John here. John, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
I always wanted to, my leg is in the Olympic and Paralympic Museum. It's an amazing museum, and it sits right in front of Serena Williams' leg. You know, Serena Williams, a great tennis star. So she has a shoe and a tennis ball that are signed by her. And so my leg sits right in front of her exhibit. So because I always had a leg up on Serena is what I always say.
There you go. You got a leg up. I love that. Tell us a bit about your story. Tell us a bit about your story. I mean, talk to us about, just maybe in about a minute or two. Just tell us what happened to you and what's your bounce back story.
A minute or two?
We'll keep the full story for the summit. but just give us a teaser of what we can expect, from hearing from you.
Sure. Well, like Scott said in the introduction, thank you, Scott. It's great to speak both of you. So I'm really honored to be on the show. And Roshan, thank you so much. At 5:29 on May 17th, 1994, I was one of the fastest hurdlers in the world, top 20 in the world in the 400-meter hurdles. I was also on my way to Army Officer Candidate School, so I was going to make a life career out of the military. And at 5:30, I would never run another hurdle in my life. So I misstepped a hurdle. I landed wrong, hyperextended my left leg. The artery behind the kneecap broke. And 7 days later, I was faced with a choice. Keep my leg, use a walker or wheelchair for the rest of my life, amputate the leg, use a prosthesis for the rest of my life. And that's really where the story kind of re-engages, where what's the choices you make? And I made the choice to actually amputate my leg. So think about that. You've gone through your life with these two limbs, and as you are moving forward, they've taken you to so many places around the world and to, different countries, and you're at the top of your game, and you make the choice to actually take one of them away. Well, I was really thinking about, and this is what I'll talk about, in my comment section, is really the downward spiral for a moment of identity. And we all have this identity crisis that we're going through right now. What's our identity? And mine was, who am I now? Will my wife, Alice, still stay with me? Will my son, John Jr., still see me as his father? Do I still have a job in the military? Can I support my family? I mean, my Olympic dreams are over. All those things were in my mind, and my wife, Alice, comes over and she says, you know what, John? We're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. And so, that's the mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to show a quick clip of you in Sydney bouncing back and actually clinching.
Let's take a look at the men's long jump F42 final starting list. And Lucas Christen from Switzerland is the dominant one in this field. He holds both the world and Paralympic record in this event. Victor Goriansen from Sweden is up now, ready for his third attempt. It's not a bad effort. He's pretty satisfied with it. 4.89. It's actually a season best for the Swede. Here's the man to beat. He is the world record holder, jumping 5.43 in 98 in Birmingham. Well, he's pleased the crowd. He's happy with that one. And so he should be. He's smashed his world mark with 5.57, a new world mark. Well, the pressure's really on now for John Register from the USA. 5.57, the mark to beat. Nice lead up, but it's short. He's not able to take the gold from Christen, but he does move into second spot. So here are the results of the men's long jump final. Gold to Christen, silver to Register, and Goriansen home with the bronze.
All right, John.
Woo! I'll tell you, I will say this. Every time I see that video, I do think I'm going to win the gold medal. Oh, sucks.
I know.
Has it changed at all in any of them? Every time it's the same?
Every time. Oh, I almost got it. Oh, I lost again.
Well, not. I mean, some of us don't have many medals to show from the Olympics, but no. I mean, it's amazing to hear what what you went through and how you bounced back. I mean, just a couple of comments. People are all saying hi to you. Cheryl's saying hi to Scott. I don't know why, but something's happening there. No. She comes back with, "Hey, John."
There we go.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, John, Andrea, Zafta saying hi.
They started with me.
Somebody else says, hey, John, really inspired by your story. Everyone's really inspired by your story. I think Dr. Parthiban from India is also very inspired. Cheryl's comments must have been tough, especially when it was integral to who you were at that point in time. Talk us through that a little bit, John. What are the hurdles that you had to overcome?
So many times people think that the amputation is really what I overcame, and that's really not what it is. And I think that's for all of us. It's really the mindset that goes behind it. Because I was thinking, we talk about our fears, and it was fear of myself with, will my wife still stay with me, or my son, John Jr., be with me? And that's kind of very personal for me, right? It's all kind of in the hierarchy, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm trying to protect myself. But it's also other people believing for me what I can or cannot do, which is based upon what they believe they could or could not do if they were in my situation. And then third, it's society. Who was I listening to in society that made me believe my thoughts in the first place? Was it when I saw, Captain Hook, Peter Pan, in the movie Peter Pan? Captain Hook he's an amputee above the wrist amputee. He's got a hook for his arm, a claw. But wait a minute, I'm an amputee. He's dark, he's mysterious, he's scary. Is that why people is that how people now look at me? So I had to really overcome the mindset that went around it, because had I overcome the amputation of my left leg, I'd have my leg back. Well, I don't. So what I have to overcome is something more mental. And the mental game, when we're in COVID right now, is overcoming those struggles and those challenges on a global pandemic that's happening. And how do we stay in the game? How do we stay in the fight? We think we're going to get it back and go back to a normal type existence, but normal is gone. Because in the new normal, new represents no prior point of reference. Nobody's lived through this before. So this is totally brand new. And then the normal is the everyday typical occurrence of a thought or an action. So what am I doing every single day that's going to elevate me? What kind of a ritual am I putting in place that's going to develop into a rhythm, and the rhythm elevating into my rise? So I swam for physical therapy and wound up making the Paralympic swim team 27 months later. I poured that effort of what Alice gave me as that new normal mindset to actually push forward, because the new normal is not a destination. The new normal is a plateau by which we grow. So that's how I understand that, and how I teach it to business professionals.
Nice. So, given that you've been through what you've been through, and now that we're facing COVID, do you feel a responsibility having those skills now to help others and to help them get through this difficult period in our history?
Absolutely. Scott, that's a great question. When the COVID first hit, I had my moment, right? I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? My business is all shut down. The whole market is shut down. But at the same time, after I had my one day of kind of sobbing and crying, oh my gosh, all my dates just flew off the calendar.
That was it? One day?
It was one day. And I said, I got to get back up, and those are the plus 1 days I talk about a lot. And as an athlete, you're going to have setbacks, but can you still get to compete when everybody else will not do that, right? When your competitor won't train, when will you train? And so I said, if I don't make another dime in this business, what is the message I need to get out to the world right now at this time? And it is that message of hope, and that we can, get our accent off the wrong syllable, right? The accent off the wrong syllable. And we're focused so much in on how am I going to protect and hoard and keep things. That's why I make runs on toilet paper in the United States. I never understood that. But, it's trying to control what we can't control. We want to be in control, but we're not in the control. Here's where we're going to go with this. Here's the turn of this whole entire thing, right? It's number one, can you make the leap from your redefining moment to not rebuilding, but actually building a new foundation, so it's a rebirth that you're coming on to have a resolved mindset, right? And secondly, shouldn't we be in a COVID mindset all the time? How many of us have been innovative, have had to figure it out, have had to really understand and get our teams together to move us forward? Shouldn't we have been doing that all the time? Why did it take this pandemic to push us into this space, to be around family, to see how much we care about one another, to want the human touch and the human connection together? Why weren't we doing that all the time? So I think I don't want to go back to the way it was. I want to begin to every day always pushing into this space. We should always be thinking about how we can elevate in these moments in our lives. And then to your question, going back, not for us to be free, but to liberate others from where they are, from the fears that they have, to push themselves into that state, because they have to release it as well. It's what do you release? What do you let go of? What do you amputate to embrace this new normal mindset?
Yeah. Hey, John, there's a couple more questions that's coming.
Yeah.
I think one in relation to what you were talking about. As humans, we're very competitive and always want to win. And I think this is in relation to the fact that, you just said that every time you watch that, you wish you had goal, right?
That's a little joke.
How do you, this regret of not getting goal, how do you move on from that? I mean, to some extent, or was that an issue with you, or
No.
it wasn't?
It was not, and here's why. Here's why. That's because that's a great question. I get that a lot, especially in the United States, because we always celebrate the win. We always celebrate the gold medals, right, and the gold wins. And it's not like I was competing and training and doing all of that to win silver. I wanted the top spot, as well as everybody else in that competition. But on that day, October 23rd, 2000, at 10:30 in the morning, who was the most prepared for that one moment in time? Right. And so Lucas was. So I earned silver, and I'm totally fine with that. I had to relearn how to run. I had to do a lot of things to earn that silver medal spot. And I only lost by, 4.5, 5 inches at maximum. Right. So what that says to me is it really begins getting into this measurement or this entitlement mentality that I am trying to think I have I'm entitled to something that I have not yet earned. So I'm fine with winning silver because that's what I won. So what does that do? What does that say about the gold medalist? Does that mean he didn't train as hard as I trained to win on that day? He had to set a world record to beat me. I pushed him to his world record, and he had to break a world record to beat me. So I pushed him to the limit on that day, and I'm not going to be entitled to something I did not have.
And speaking of fear, right? I mean, I think fear, kind of inhibits us in many ways. Sashi plays football or soccer, and he always gets the fear of getting injured again. How about you? I mean, that fear of, because you got injured while competing or practicing, right? Do you have that fear, and how do you really overcome this fear, or does it ever go away?
No, I don't think it ever goes fully away. So think about it this, Shashi, from the standpoint of when I began running again on an artificial leg, the last time I ran fast, I fell, and it was a pretty bad fall. So I had to get over that fear of running at the high rate that I knew I had to do in order to win that silver medal. Eventually, I'm not thinking about it as much, but there's still in the back of your mind, what could happen if I'm going that fast? So here's what we have to do. And there is no book that you can get this out of. I don't care what they say. There's no book, Sasha, that you can get this out of, because the jump is the jump. You have to make the choice. It is your choice to jump. And it's jumping from the fear and releasing from that, even though you don't know it's on the other side. You don't know if you're going to get hurt or be excellent and not get hurt. But you have to make that jump, and no one can tell you to do it. No one can push you. There might be somebody on the other side waiting for you, or somebody on this side that are telling you, I don't know if you want to do that, but you have to make the choice. And there's so many people, there's so many mind gurus out there that want to tell you, well, come to me. I can give you the 5 points to do this. No, you can't, because the person has to make that individual commitment themselves. I'll give you a quick story. I was on a ropes course, like 50 feet off the ground, harnessed in, and I'm going swinging from little ropes course to ropes course with a group of amputee kids, until I got to one spot where the jump was a little bit too far, and I was paralyzed there. I didn't make the jump. I was like, I might fall, even though I'm harnessed in. All the little kids, they're jumping by me. You're like, let's go, Mr. Register. Let's go, Mr. Register. You can do it, Mr. Register. And I was paralyzed for 15 minutes until I finally made the jump. But their encouragement, maybe it helped me, but it didn't move me off of that pedestal. I had to make the jump, and I couldn't get it in a book. I couldn't read it. You have to just do it or not.
Fantastic. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Bounce Back Summit itself, because that's the reason we are here, right? It's an exciting summit where everybody can learn. I mean, together as a community, right? Learn from John, learn from many of the other global speakers that are going to be part of the event, but more also get that coaching or that peer sort of learning from each other, and also be pushed for we can be the best that we can be. I want to show a little quick video now on the Bounce Back Summit. I'd love to get some of your input on the summit.
Never before in history have we felt more interconnected. Everyone's actions have the power to impact the health and well-being of everyone else's actions. We truly are all in this together. And together, we can bounce back better, stronger, smarter. Given this incredibly difficult time, when fundraising is down and the desperate need for help is up, let's work together in helping those who need us most. Starting November 10 and 11, for 14 straight Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we will host Bounce Back, a global symposium where we will share stories of overcoming great odds to create great meaning in this world. We'll explore how champions bounced back from failure, adversity, or poverty to do great things. We'll discover how business leaders created great wealth and significance, and how you can too. These winners didn't do it at the expense of others, but with the help of their fellow brothers and sisters. They showed compassion, love, kindness, and humility as they attracted like-minded people to join their tribe. We want to highlight some of the most inspiring and influential difference makers, the men and women who've influenced this world like we've never seen before. Bounce Back, better, stronger, and smarter is brought to you by Together We Can Change the World, empowering and educating less fortunate children and women in Southeast Asia to live a better life. And Leaderonomics, a social enterprise empowering our youth and giving them the skills and tools necessary to build a better future. Yes, together we can change the world.
So, John and Scott, I mean, why must someone be at Bounce Back? Why is it necessary for a person to come hear your story, come hear all these other inspiring stories, and also, to get that leadership development to be the best that they can be? Why is it so important? Scott, you want to start?
Just to hear John, I mean, come on, how can you miss? He's worth the price of admission right there, just from what we heard tonight. Hey, I think it's this challenging time in our lives that what a wonderful way to get a boost of inspiration and motivation and challenge ourselves to reinvent and really reignite who we are and where we're headed. And we have the right champions to help us do that. Plus, with that Nicole, that whole learning design experience system is incredible too. So great value, but the best news about it all is that it all goes for a great cause, to support those less fortunate and to empower and educate, take care of the well-being of youth and women in Southeast Asia.
And John?
Yeah, I echo what Scott has said. The thing I found most fascinating is that even though we're socially distanced around the globe, we seem to be more connected through this medium. And the connection I think is really powerful. And so being around like-minded individuals, we don't create in vacuums, right? We need to be around each other in order to embrace and have what Scott just said as being able to change the world. We have to be a part of that mix in order to do it. We can't be isolated. And so, we're going to get some things I think great for ourselves, but we really build a great community by sharing our experiences together in those chats, in the dialogues that we have, in the friendships that we will make, so that we can do the impact that we want to do on a greater scale. Because someone else, they may have another great idea that just bounces. We never know how it just takes off and continues to spin with circles going out.
Absolutely. So bouncebacksummit.org, go there and sign up. It's definitely worth the ticket price, I think. And also the fact that 100% of all net proceeds go to different communities in Southeast Asia, different charities and NGOs. So it's a double bonus, right? You get great leadership development for yourself, but at the same time, you're helping different communities, especially in this time, right, where giving is down and where there's so much turbulence. These charities and NGOs really need your support. John, let's get back to the conversation. There's a ton of questions, so I don't think we might be able to get through all the comments and questions, but I will try to push this along. Questions for you. How did that switch look like? From the point where you were giving up, right? You had questions about your family, questions about life. To the point that you wanted to push on and you wanted to move on and you wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
What is
There were several things. One was when Alice told me we'll get through this together. So that kind of that solidified a base for me. But there were always all these other moments as well. People around the world probably won't remember this as much as we remember in the United States. So I'm going to tell a very American story.
Okay.
We have a famous footballer, and that's American football, not soccer. I'm trying to get all the language right. And his name is O.J. Simpson. And 1 month to the day where I was injured, there was a famous white Bronco. He was driving a white Bronco. His friend was driving a white Bronco down the I-5 freeway in California, followed by a myriad of police cars, right? And so it was like, what's going on with O.J. Simpson? And the reporters were reading a note which looked like a suicide note from this famous football player. And it was the same day that I was in the most pain in my life. I've never experienced pain like this. I was sweating. I was shaking on my cousin's couch. My leg was just freshly amputated, and it felt like a knife was sawing into the back of my Achilles tendon. It really hurt. And when I saw that, and I said, "Oh my gosh, one of our most famous football players, looks like whatever he's done, it looks like he's going to commit suicide." I determined at that point that no matter how bad the pain got, I was never going to go that direction. And so that, I think we have to have these resolution moments, these resolves of what we will not cross, the line we will draw on the line in the sand for ourselves, that we're not going to go backwards. We're only going to move forward. And sometimes it's not great leaps that we do. Sometimes it's hour by hour. It can be minute by minute. It can be second by second, but we're always trying to move forward in those micro moments. So yeah, great question.
Okay, yeah, and there's one more on mindset, right? So people, Cheryl talks about mindset, and the more I realize how powerful this is, right? Because ultimately your mindsets or your beliefs will dictate your values, which dictate your attitudes, and ultimately it dictates your behavior. And that drives results, right? So we change results by changing behavior, but essentially it's curtailed by our mindset, because if we have a certain mindset, we're stuck with that, right? And you may have been in a position where you're like, it's gone, right? You have a certain mindset. How did you flip and make that transition to this new mindset? And I think that's the same point that you make for COVID, right? We are stuck with this mindset that things are going to be back to normal, and so we our actions don't change, right? Regardless of how we try. What do we need to do to make that flip, to have that mindset? Is it a flip, or is it something that we have to go through to enable us to have that mindset flip?
I think I don't think it's an either or. I believe if you already have some type of a positive mindset anyway, that will get amplified when tough times and struggles come in your life. The opposite is true as well. If you don't have that mindset, I think the opposite will happen. And I saw this when I was building out the Paralympic military sport program, where about 90% of the veterans that were wounded, ill, and injured, when they were training and trying to use sports as a tool for the rehabilitation, they took off, because they were all around the same mindset of trying to get better. But there were a few that were really negative, and they could really cause a cancer inside of the whole realm. And so we have to answer to get to the question is, what are we feeding ourselves? What are we listening to that's driving those fears in the first place? It goes back to the social global that we were talking about earlier. Because if I'm listening to negative news all the time, then there's nothing positive in me that I'm going to be pulling on to say that there's hope that's there. But if I'm listening to things that are hopeful, I'm going to be bent towards that way. So I believe, to the second part, we can shift the mindset and flip it, as you say, by choosing what we listen to as empowerment. So that's why it's important to come to Bounce Back Summit, right? So we can listen to those positive stories to increase, if we would have been negative for a little bit.
And you're right. I mean, part of the process of grieving and moving to this new state is to have a community, right? I mean, that's why we grieve together. And that's why I think it's so powerful to have a bounce back community, that together, we can bounce back, in tandem with each other and in partnership with each other. I love that. I mean, again, we're getting a ton of comments But I want to show a little video of somebody's really excited about the Bounce Back Summit. Sashi Kanapati, the guy who developed Nicole, essentially, has some words to share about the Bounce Back Summit. So let's hear a bit of Sashi.
Hi there. So recently I shared something with the larger group at Leaderonomics, and I thought maybe I'd share it here. So here's the deal. So think about someone who has really inspired you. Someone you think about who's motivational, inspiring, somebody maybe you look at as a role model, and take a minute, just keep them in your mind for a minute. And now think about what it is about them that makes them inspirational or motivational or a role model. And usually what you'll find is that there's been some inspiring story. And usually that story is about that person hitting rock bottom and then bouncing back, right? And then that bouncing back from the bottom of their life or some really bad situation that they were in. It's very inspiring and motivational, and it kind of gives us hope and courage and strength to really bounce back. And if you really take that person who's in your mind right now and think about their stories, it's usually a story of a bounce back situation. And so with that, I want to introduce you to Bounce Back Summit 2020. It's a great initiative. It's 12 weeks of inspiring leaders coming to teach you, sharing with you their stories. At the same time, you get coaching sessions with these inspirational leaders. You get a digital app where you do continuous learning. So just think of it as a 12-week journey on how to really bounce back, especially this year with COVID, right? I think we all need an opportunity to learn and to really be inspired to bounce back, either for ourselves or for others. And why for others? Because all proceeds from this event will be channeled towards charities and social organizations. So you can come visit the website at bouncebacksummit.org. So that's BOUNCE bounce, BACK back, SUMMIT summit.org. And I hope to see everyone there, and please help participate. This is a global event, global speakers. It starts in early November. It'll run for 12 weeks. And we hope that you help others bounce back, but also that it'll inspire you to bounce back.
All right, thank you, Sashi. That's a guy. The Nicole. It's going to be a groundbreaking app that all of you guys are going to have access to as part of the Bounce Back community, and that's the guy in charge of Nicole, who made the whole Nicole happen. And he's excited by Bounce Back. I think a lot of us are excited by Bounce Back. There's more and more comments that are trickling in, so I'm going to try to get to as many of you as possible. So it's let me I think there's a lot of people saying, John, thank you very much. You really enable me to understand this. This, it really woke up consciousness. We often asleep without realizing. I think it's a very good point. Sometimes we may be going through life in motion, but we're actually motionless, right? And we have no idea what we're doing. Dr. Parthivan says, great sharing. Thank you very much. Diwakar, I think it's so from India. He's tuning in and he says, great. Hello, everyone. Hello to you. Cheryl, you have to take that journey on your own. End of the day, it is up to you. John, thanks for that. Quick question from Zinin. Your words are extremely powerful, John. Can you share what's harder for you to overcome? The physical challenge or the mental challenge? I think I know the answer, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So we know that our physical bodies, right, are control about probably 70-80% of what we do during a day, but that 10%, 20% of our mind, that gray matter, controls the body. So we really have to condition our mind to focus on what it is we want to achieve, and what we desire in life. And so if you think about it from this standpoint, maybe you're lifting some weights, or maybe you're on a long run, or maybe you're, in your car or something, and you're a little fatigued. Well, the mind can tell the body, no, we're going to go a little further. We're going to do one more rep. We're going to push a little bit more. In the 400-meter dash, right, one time around the track, there's a point where the body wants to give up. It's about 305 or 6 meters. The body wants to shut down because there's a lack of oxygen. But the mind tells the body, no, we're going to go faster. This is the point to press. And so we overcome what the body wants to do with our mind. And I think it's really important for us. Going back to that, the person's previous question, you know, sometimes we're like sleepwalking, right? Because we shut the brain off. Well, what happens with spinner dolphins is they are jumping in the water, right, in front of the boats and stuff. But sometimes those spinner dolphins are actually resting half of their brain, half this hemisphere of their brain. So they're actually asleep on part of the half. That's why we don't want to mess with dolphins in the water, because we don't know if they're actually resting during that time, even though they're jumping in front of the boat. I found that really fascinating. So we can be asleep, but I look at that as our subconscious mind that is on all the time. We want to make sure that we're feeding that subconscious mind to work out the problems and solutions that we need to have happen as we are taking our bodies into rest and recovery.
Fantastic. A couple more, Abdul Aziz says that this trying time, genuinely inspiring stories like loss really motivates us. And I think it's a one point I want to make, that bounce back is not just for people who are in trouble or need to bounce back. I think all of us face obstacles of some kind in our life. And all of us on a daily basis needs to bounce back, needs to push forward, needs to go faster, needs to go harder, needs to improve on what we are doing, right? So it's not just, if you're in big trouble or you've lost your job or, it's for a certain type of person. I think bounce back is for every single one of us, Would you agree with that, or Scott or John?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. I think that's the whole point of the summit, is wherever you're at in life right now. So, and it's interesting. I mean, you take 10 of your friends, how they respond and react to COVID, and you're going to get 10 different stories, and very diversely different, right? So, but the nice thing about bounce back is you get a chance to set a goal for yourself. So with our coaches, we look for one transformational goal of something that you really set for yourself at the beginning of this series. So wherever you're at. So, what if you're sitting out there saying, you know what, I'm dealing with COVID. I'm great with this. I mean, I'm made for COVID, then great. Then what are you, where are you going to go from where you're at right now to ignite forward? So it's for everybody.
Yep.
So I love that. And I love playing devil's advocate too, as you're going to find out a lot about me. Okay, so let's take bounce back, right? Well, what if you miss the ball, right? The ball goes against the wall, it comes back, and you miss the ball. So maybe it's like a rubber band snapping back to its original shape. But in my case, my rubber band broke. How do I bounce back when I'm broken? And I really believe what happens is we're thinking with the bounce back that we're going to get something back. And we don't get that. We don't get pre-COVID back. And I don't get my leg back. So I have to erect and build something totally new. And that's the jump that people have to take right now, because they're so focused on getting it back and it's not coming back. We have to erect what is new. And that's the new normal mindset that we have to have, not as a destination, but as that plateau by which we grow. So for me,
and you said it right. I think it's bounce forward, right?
Forward, whatever. I like to bounce back. I get it. I'm playing devil's advocate, but it's
well said. But you're right. I mean, you sometimes it's not about back. It's about into a new unknown, into a whole new space that you have to deal with and you have to live with and so on. And Andrew says that, thank you for showing others that it's not just about COVID. It's how to be, have that transformational intention of embracing challenge and supporting each other. So I think you say it really well. A couple more comments. Jess says awesome. A lot of awesome. I don't know whether the word is cool today or where's your awesome? But
I have the awesome. I'm looking for awesome. Oh, it's my soldier. It's my warrior.
Oh, there you go. Nice. One last question, I think, before we try to wrap this up and get our heads around this. What motivated you to be who you are today? Not just as a Paralympian, but to achieve much more. And what keeps driving you, John?
Wow, that's Nadira. That's a great question. How that's very insightful. I didn't even know what Paralympics were when I had my injury. So I couldn't even tell you about the Paralympic Games because I didn't know there was a parallel games to the Olympics. But once I found out that there was, then I was off and running. And even I was in the wrong sport, right? I was swimming and somehow made the Paralympic swim team. And it was there that I saw athletes running and jumping. And I hadn't seen that before either. And then came on to win the Paralympic silver medal. And I think that's what it's all about, Nadira. It's understanding and unearthing all of those opportunities that we don't yet see and putting ourselves in position to be ready for it when that time and opportunity presents itself. And that's why, we're talking about this going forward and always looking for the opportunity despite the obstacles, because there are opportunities all the way around us. Even though this moment of this pandemic is really hurtful, I'm not talking about, all the lives that have been lost and the sorrow that's been going on. And, some of the governments, whether they're handling it right or handling it wrong, we don't even know how to handle this situation right now. But we do have silver linings all the time, and we can choose the mindset that we will have around it. Will we kind of succumb and go back to what everybody else is saying, or will we be the ones that are going to put a stake in the ground and people are going to center on us because we have the hope of a better tomorrow, a brighter tomorrow? So we need, Nadira, they need to be coming to you, because you are the one that's the stake in the ground, and you're so solid and so resolute in who you are that people are gravitating to you because they're going to be comfortable and solid with your words and your actions. Okay.
And, I just a couple more, comments. And I think it's going back. I want to, last week we made Scott sing for us. I'm sure he's preparing his rendition right now to blast into our ears on how to wrap this up with a blast. But Aaron says, nice to have a community that partners with each other and be positive with each other to bounce back together. Couple more. Cheryl says the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So Cheryl, sign up for Bounce Back, and together we will try to enable the spirit to work together with the flesh, as John said. Jess says, awesome, because you've done it so well in your time, in your pain, in your way. It's not as easy as it's said.
No, it never is.
And Patty says, Nicole's fantastic. I have saved tons of time, instead of wasting looking for content in this overcrowded internet. Nicole simplifies, and the best part of me. So Nicole's going to be part and parcel of Bounce Back, right? It's going to be the glue that enables the community to work together. So with that, I'm going to try and wrap this up with a quick comment from Scott. Scott, your final piece of nugget, or are you going to break into song and
together we can change the world.
There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, go. Yeah, let's together we can change the world.
There you go.
Your final thoughts and your final inspiration for us to make sure all of us, right, that are listening in, sign up for Bounce Back right now.
Oh, that didn't count?
Yeah, no.
More than that.
Your voice cracked a little bit, So.
But that reach deep inside of ourselves and make that commitment and have the intention to make that transformational change, and know that you're reaching into your pocket for a great cause. So we'd love to see it bounce back.
Very good. And John, your final thoughts or final piece of advice before we wrap this up?
Yeah, my final thoughts are always the same. It's always to go forth, inspire your world, because go is our command, forth is our direction, inspire is our vocation, because it's only you can do it. It's your DNA. You were built to do that. You have the gift to do it. And world, because this is your sphere of influence. So get on the train, come on to Bounce Back, and share your gifts with this community, because you are going to change a lot of lives.
Yep. So and there's a ton of people are saying thank you, John. Very inspiring. There's more for us to learn from John in some of the other pieces. I'm going to end with a little quote from Jenna Stanfield, the co-founder of Together We Can Change the World, and she says, "I cannot do all the good the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do." There you go. And Scott's about to break into song, right? With that, if you have not signed up, go to bouncebacksummit.org. John Register is going to be speaking. I can't remember. John, you remember the dates that you're going to be on? I think it's in December, right? Sometime.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. What date? It's right before I go someplace, I think.
All right, John's gonna be there. Who is
I don't remember.
December 15th is the date.
13th.
There is a bunch of speakers. We've got Immaculée who
Oh,
survived.
Immaculée! Oh my gosh, you have got to be there for her. You have to be there for Immaculée. Amazing story, amazing gift to this world. Oh my gosh, you got to be there for her.
And I know John's going to be there for Immaculée too. So Immaculée is going to speak and talk about her genocide story in Rwanda. She wrote a New York Times bestseller. That was #1 in the New York Times for a number of weeks. So we've got some great people. I think Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he's going to be there. I was just talking to some of the some of my friends who are Chinese, and he said we need to have, like, instead of chicken soup, snake soup or something of those, a little bit more Asian. And so we'll talk to Jack about writing a snake soup for us.
Something so well.
But we've got some great speakers, and with that, somebody say, Scott, you're entertaining indeed. So with that, we will. Scott's, people actually appreciate your humor. Well done. So with that, John register, bouncebacksummit.org. Sign up, and we'll see you. 10, 12 amazing speakers going to come your way with coaching, with Nicole, with a whole bunch of things. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the time. Have a great week, everyone. Have a great day. And we thank you for your time and your patience. We'll see you next week here, same time, same place, for the next pre-event for Bounce Back. John, thanks a lot, and goodbye, all of you.